Okay, so I've got power to the middle rollers, and let's put some power to the wheels again. With three rail, it's kind of handy because you can go to either rail and with the second power side, and it'll run, hopefully. Okay, so the thing does run. These tires are magnetic. Pulling on my alligator clip. But it's kind of interesting. I've heard, don't know firsthand. Well, I guess I have one post-war steam engine that surprised me at how well it ran. But been told that Lionel stuff tended to run in some ways maybe better than Flyer. At least they didn't have some of the finicky issues with the reverse units that Flyer did. Don't know if that's true or not, and not interested in that debate necessarily, but pretty remarkable. Based on everything I can tell, this engine has been on a static display for at least 30 years, but it could be 50 years. And the gentleman that had this originally, it's a little hard to know how long he had it before it went on the display, because it was in his something I think he had as a kid or something. So this engine is possible has not run since 1960 or something like that. So now that I've gotten a few more things apart, a couple things I think that are really interesting, especially from someone coming from the Flyer world. Your brush plate here has springs that hold the brushes up against the commutator face, which again, that's like pre-war and early post-war American Flyer tech is that's what it reminds me of. The armature then comes through, and there's a gear here, and then there's a reduction gear, as I suspected. And then that goes down to here, which is, I haven't taken the truck apart, but it's just amazing to me how simple everything is to get apart. 2 screws and the motor comes off, and now the truck's loose. And 2 stud bolts, and armature comes off. Now I'm being real careful with everything because I'm going to clean it and lubricate it, like I said, and put everything back together. I'm not trying to tear everything down, but just pretty amazed at everything. And again, the mass of this motor is pretty phenomenal. Here, in comparison, is a similar era American Flyer armature. And let's see if I can put these together. So what's crazy to me is the size is pretty similar in terms of the actual commutator. I mean, aside from the fact that there's a stud sticking out here, you could swap this out for this motor, this Lionel motor. Let's see if it's long enough. Nope, the shaft wouldn't be long enough. So that would be a problem. But look at the windings. They're the same. Again, I'm not using caliper to confirm this, but visually they are, if they're not identical, they're very, very close. But the one thing that's different is just the windings on this Lionel motor are beefier. So on this one, you can see there's actually a gap between the fields, and here that gap's filled in. In other words, there's a lot more rounds of wire on here, which is going to mean more power, cooler running temperatures, just a better motor. So apparently these are good enough to move a Flyer engine, but you had to kind of beef them up to move this mass. All right, so I've taken this cover off. There's a spring clip that hangs above and keeps the front coupler on, which what I also noticed is interesting that the front truck has a certain amount of movement left to right, But then on top of that, the front coupler has additional lateral movement, and I imagine that was to handle some of the sharper curves. The reason I just wanted to start the camera up is this reminds me of the gearing on a Baldwin. So you've got reduction gear, another reduction gear. Well, actually, that's not a reduction gear. It's the same diameter, but then you've got a larger gear here, so that's reduction, and that goes to two worm gears that drive the wheels. So that's where your primary reduction happens. Well, reminiscent to how many of us when we first got our trains. Here I am on the floor, simple transformer, simple loop of track, and an engine that surprisingly is able to negotiate these tight curves. This track is very dirty, so it's again a testimony to Lionel that these trains run at all. I mean, yeah, I see sparks happening, but again, this track has had nothing done to it for who knows how many years. Next thing I'm going to do is add the B and the second A unit to it and give it a little something to pull. Okay. Nothing unprototypical about this arrangement, but that's reverse. Wow, it looks like the both lead units have working headlights. That's pretty amazing. I'm impressed. Pretty amazing operation, despite the dirty track and tight corners. Transformer wise, you can see them about almost 50%. Let's take it up here to 50%. Go up a little higher. Getting close to 70%, 75%. Closer to 80% now, and that's 100. So pretty small transformer. That's wide open according to this transformer. Motors on the engine sound like they probably have some more RPMs in them, but these are tight corners after all, so pretty impressive. there.